Assalamu alaikum. Very good afternoon to you all. Today, due to some difficulties, we had to change the time, and I apologize for that. And if you are unable to join today's class, you can always view it later. And also, I'll be uploading the presentation and also some notes we'll be using today to the Google Classroom. You can download it and review them. Okay. All right, so today we are going to briefly look into business, writing business letters, not only business but in general, writing letters. All right, we'll be looking at some phrases and um, different ways which you could phrase the words while writing in different contexts. Now, there might be some similarities between the previous day's class because previous day we did email writing, and there are some similarities between emails and letters. Okay. Now, this here you can see the objectives for writing a business letter. Assess the situation and your objective. Decide what to say. Put your thoughts in sequence. Identify your subject. End by pointing the way ahead. Now, in a letter, there are different four main parts which you need to consider, which the letter should have these four parts: a salutation, an opening, the main message, and the closing. First, the salutation. A salutation means the part which we write, in other words, the greeting. Dear, normally we start letters with dear, right? To address a person whose name or sex you don't know, use dear sir or madam. When you do not know the name of a man you are writing to, you can say dear sir. If you are addressing to a woman whose name you don't know, then you can use madam. When you are addressing a company, you begin the letter with dear sirs. You can also, if you don't know the exact person who is going to receive the letter, you can also write, suppose here, in a situation like this, when you are addressing to a company, you can also write to whom it may concern as a salutation. Secondly, we have the opening. This says why you are writing. This is the first line of the first paragraph right after the greeting. To start the first paragraph, the first line, you need to introduce what topic you are going to talk about. Now, in a business letter, as we spoke about in email, in a letter also, we need to go straight to the point. Always say what you want in a short and sweet manner. Okay? Therefore, when you are starting a letter also, no need to write, no need to drag to the topic like when we do in essays and other types of writings. But in a letter, always make sure you start with the main point which you want the reader to focus on. So to start a letter, you can start with some of the phrases are given here. We are writing to inquire about, or instead of we, you can say I if you are writing as a person. We are writing in connection with, we are interested in, and we would like to. Now, if you are answering, if you are replying to a letter which you have previously got, then you can start with, we have received your letter of, or thank you for your letter of, or you can say referring to your letter and the letter number. Now, the letters which we exchange with each other in especially formal letters, there's a letter number, right? So we can say with reference to your letter number, and in brackets or without the brackets you can mention the letter number of the letter which they sent. Understood? The main message or the main body. Now, in the first paragraph, you just mention why you are writing this letter. Okay, and then you come to the next paragraph and then you give a little bit of explanation, some supporting points to the main point. The main message or body, your letter should be neither too long nor too short. The length of your letter will depend on whether the subject of letter is a simple or a complicated one. You have to decide on the right amount of info to include in your letter. The reader will not be able to understand the message if you leave out important information. If you include too many details, he may be irritated. So, therefore, first thing, always keep it short and concise. Keep it as short as you can, as it is mentioned, or you can see on the screen. The length you sometimes varies depending on the topic which you are talking about. Yet, you need to keep in mind that you do not go out of the topic, always stay within the topic which you are discussing about. And also, do not make sure you do not miss any information which needs to be included in the letter. Next is planning. Planning in advance is the best thing to do. In this way, you'll be able to decide what to include in which order and how you are going to express it. The best way to produce a good business letter is to use the KISS formula. Keep it short and simple. KISS, K-I-S-S, it stands for keep it short and simple. The body of most letters can be divided into three paragraphs, though some more may be necessary sometimes. Now, when we look at take an example of, for example, a letter which we are sending in an office. All right, in an office situation, then that letter might not have exactly three paragraphs. It might not be that long, it could be that long. Okay, but normally for like in the test which you'll be doing later, I will inform you the date later. Okay, for that one you'll probably have to write two or more or three paragraphs. Okay, we'll discuss a sample question on how the letter question or email writing task, how the writing task will be in the exam. We'll discuss that in a later class. Okay. Now, there are some things which you should avoid in a formal letter, especially in a formal letter. You should also avoid informal colloquial language as well as phrasal verbs, idioms, and short forms. This kind of vocabulary is considered as inappropriate. Now, keep in mind that you should not include colloquial language, phrasal verbs, and idioms and other short forms in a formal letter. Okay, you can use some of these like idioms or short forms in an informal letter, but here we are focusing on formal letters, so you should avoid colloquial language and such in formal language, formal letter. Yes, here are some examples of. This is an example of colloquial. What colloquial means? Colloquial means language normally used in informal conversation, but not in formal speech or writing. Here's an example: Go bananas. Sometimes usually in informal spoken language, we people use phrases like this. You cannot use colloquial phrases like this in a formal writing. Alright. In order to teach colloquial expressions, the teacher has to explain that those expressions can't be understood literally, and also it is an informal language. For example, he's a couch potato, which means he or she watches a lot of TV. Here is an example of an idiom: woke up on the wrong side of the bed. Here's an example of short forms, using short forms, especially in nowadays. We tend to use a lot of short forms even in our office writings, right? Sometimes by mistake also we tend to use short forms like this, and it is, I think, a very common mistake to use you. Sometimes you tend to write the letter you only in when you are trying to write the word you, because we use chats so much. Now we are replacing the actual word for just one letter. So make sure you do not do this mistake. All right. You Now this is one reason why proofreading is important. The close, which means the closing, the ending of the letter. Here are some ways to end a letter. I look forward to receiving your reply, or if you have ordered something, your order or your products, to receiving your products. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you give some information in your letter, you can close like this. I hope this information will help. Please contact me or let me know if you need any further information. Please feel free to contact me if you have any further questions. Now, make sure if you write any one of these phrases, the last two phrases, to give a name and a number for that person to contact. Alright. Sometimes we forget to we write please contact me if you have further questions, and then we forget to include a name and a number. So you should keep that in mind also. entails. This means the last part, this is the signing off of the letter. Yours faithfully is used if you begin your letter with dear sirs, dear sir, dear madam, or dear sir or madam. When you do not know the name or sex of the person you are addressing, you can use yours faithfully. You can use yours sincerely if the letter begins with a name. Like if you know the person whom you are sending the letter to. For example, dear Miss Smith, dear Mr. Jones. And also you can sign off with kind regards or just a thank you. To sum up, in language, the language used should be clear but courteous. Courteous means clear and simple. It should be formal, as polite as you can. Simple but formal. The message should be neither too long nor too short. Have a clear sequence, and your keyword to success is keep it simple and short. All right, now we'll look at I have uploaded some notes to Google Classroom, which you can refer when you are writing a letter. Now here you can see, I'll just briefly go through these notes, okay, but I want you to thoroughly go through them and read through these notes. Now here it explains how to write informal and formal letters. Okay, this is informal. Um, okay, these are some notes on informal letter writing. Okay. Now, just now in the presentation, we focused more on formal letter writing and some phrases which you can use on formal letter. Now, in here, you can see we are going to look at some informal phrases which you can use in your letters, informal letters. Salutation or greeting, which is always same. Start with dear, and then most of the time, informal letters are usually sent between people you know, friends or family. In addition to giving news, they are often used to request information, congratulate people, give advice, and ask questions. There are a lot of similarities between informal letters and conversations. Informal letters ask a lot of questions, shows interest and enthusiasm, and imagine a lot of shared information. Now, to begin the letter, the salutation first. You can start with dear and then just the name of the person. If you suppose if you are writing to your mother or father, you can say dear mom or dear dad. It says simple as that. Don't forget to use only the first name of the person you are writing, not dear Mr. John, because now you are writing suppose to your friend, so you don't have to be formal and say Mr. John, just John. Informal letters sometimes have a comma after the person's name and the letter starts on the line below. The important thing is to be consistent with the style that you choose to use. So if you use a comma after the person's name at the start of the letter, use a comma after the closing statement at the end. Now here are some phrases which you can use in the main body first opening in the first paragraph. You can ask, how are you? How have the family been? I hope you are well. And suppose if you are replying to another letter which you have received, thank you for your last letter or postcard. It was good or nice to hear from you. I was surprised to hear that. Maybe you got a letter about some which describes something surprising, an event. I'm sorry I haven't written. Um, this is an apology which you can use to start the letter. It's ages since I've heard from you. Hope you are well. How are things? How are you? These are some of the useful opening phrases which you can use. These are some more referring to news. Great news about. Glad to hear that. Sorry to hear about. Listen, did I tell you about? That means that you are going to tell that person about something. You'll never believe what happened. Oh, another thing. You can use oh, another thing, this phrase if you want to add an idea to a previous point. By the way, have you heard about? Next is apologies. If you are writing a letter and you want to start it with an apology, you can say, I'm writing to apologize for missing your birthday party. I'm really sorry that I forgot to send you a birthday card. Something like that. Okay, there are many similar phrases you can use. For an invitation, you can use any one of these phrases here. We are having a party. Would you like to come? Um, I was wondering if you would like to go to the theater. Could you let me? Could you let us know if you can come? Thank you for asking or inviting me, but I'm afraid I won't be able to. These are some phrases which you can use for requesting something. I'm asking, I'm writing to ask you for help. If you could do me a favor, I'd be happy if you could. I'd be grateful if you could. Next, to congratulate or wish good luck. or say thank you. You can use any one of these phrases. Congratulations on passing your exams, your excellent exam results. Don't worry, I'm sure you'll do well. Be on time, won't you, and don't forget. I'm writing to thank you for your hospitality. It was so kind of you to invite me to stay with you. I really appreciate all your help or advice. Now for closing, here are some more phrases. Okay. Now I'm not going to read all the phrases here in this handout. I want you to read them when you in your convenient time. All right. It will be easier to write a letter when a letter note or a question is given, and when you understand, when you if you have understood these phrases, the beginning phrases to use in different situations within the main body and the closing, it will be very easy to write a letter. The ending of a letter is also as important as the beginning. There are some standard ways to finishing an informal letter. Give a reason why you are ending the letter. Anyway, I must go and get on with my work. I guess it's time I got on with the study. Send greetings and or make reference for future contact. Give my love, regards to, say hello. Or you can say anyway, don't forget to let me know the dates. I'll try and phone you. Or you can say we must meet up soon. If the writing is very unclear for you, then you can open it in Google Classroom. I have uploaded this handout on Google Classroom. Okay, you can view it from there. Now I'm just going to skip these parts and go to some sample letters. Okay. Here's a sample letter. You have received this email from your English speaking friend Sean. I hear you organized a surprise birthday party for your mother. I'd love to hear about it. What kind of party did you organize? Who did you invite? How did it go? Do tell me. Love, Sean. Write your email in 140 to 190 words. Now, this is just an example of how letter or email writing questions will be structured. Okay. Now, here's a sample reply to that email. Open with an informal greeting or start your reply by referring to the sender's email or letter. Hi Sean, good to hear from you again. I hope you are still enjoying your job. Now give a reason for replying. I'm glad you asked me about the party I planned for my mother's birthday. Well, I have to say it was a fantastic success. I told my mother we were taking her out for a quiet meal at a local restaurant with just the family, and in fact, I had hired a large room in a hotel and invited all her friends. Now, here in the first paragraph, he has given a reason for replying and then given a little bit of explanation to that reason. Now here the reason is he is glad that the other person asked about a certain thing. So this is the main point for this paragraph. And then following he has given a little bit of example or an explanation, a supporting um, idea to that main point. He has given some more details about the mother's birthday party. Now here's another new paragraph because the topic has changed slightly. Use an informal linking word or phrase. A linking word like anyway. I picked my mother up and told her I'd changed my mind. We were going to have a meal in a hotel. You should have seen her face when she walked into the room, and everyone cheered. She just couldn't believe it and burst into tears. Then the party got going and it didn't finish until 4 in the morning. We were absolutely exhausted, but my mother had had a wonderful time. Now here's the closing. When you are going to end the letter, you should write a statement to notify that you are going to end the letter. As we previously saw, there are several phrases which you can use. For example, must dash now. I've got to go to college. Hope to hear from you. Make sure you end with an informal phrase. Love, Tanya. Now here are some comments by an examiner who has marked this letter. Number 1, use contractions. Here. In fact, I had, but they have used the short form. So therefore, in informal letters, you can use short forms. Short forms like this. Use some exclamation marks, but not too many. Like here, used in here. Use a range of appropriate vocabulary and informal expression. And burst into tears. It should be tears and burst into tears. Phrases like this you can use the appropriate vocabulary and informal expressions. Number 4, short sentences are acceptable, like this. Okay. Now there are some more. Here's another example similar. No, this is a semi-formal letter. Okay. You can go through this and ask. If you have any questions, you can text me. Just thoroughly go through this whole worksheet, I mean notes. And if you have any questions, you can always ask. Okay. Now in the next class, hopefully on Sunday, we have class on Monday, right? On the next class, we'll be I'll discuss with you a formal. I'll discuss with you a formal letter question, and we will see how points are taken and how we can build up writing a letter. Okay, so by the end of the next class, 1 hour, we will have written one whole letter. All right. Do you have any questions? If you do not have any questions regarding today's topic, then we'll continue in the next class with the sample letter and a letter question. Okay, so we'll see you on Monday, right? Next Monday. All right.